Hello, everyone. Very good to be here. You know, this conference reminds me a lot of when I launched Prezi in Amsterdam at the Next Web conference. It was very similar because you had the investors who were looking to invest in companies, you had the gurus who were going to tell you all about the future, and then of course you had the nervous entrepreneurs like myself who was going to pitch my product for the very, very first time. So what do you do when you need to really make it count? Because I had to make it count, right? I had a friend who I'd convinced to leave his PhD program. He had only a few months away from graduating. I had seen my bank account dwindle into the single digits, so I knew that this was important. So I go to an IT conference dressed in a suit and a tie. Yes, an IT conference. And I have a plan, because I want to go on stage and I want to show people that slides are like ties are. They can be really confining. But if you find a way to break loose from the ties, then you can show all of the creativity that you harbor inside. And I was going to lift out my tie, and then I was going to cut it off to illustrate what you can do with Prezi, right? Now, what could go wrong with such a plan? I'm standing there with my tie, and I'm looking at the moderator who I have prepped with the scissors, only the moderator is sitting and flirting with the goal rather than paying attention to me, and I'm starting to sweat. My mouth is getting dry, and I have 6,000 eyeballs looking at me with my tie. And 5 minutes later, I had to walk off, and of course, I was thinking back at everyone in Budapest who I had failed. Until the moderator actually gets up on the stage and asks everyone, so how many of you would be willing to pay for this product? And half of all audience members raised their hand. That was the first time that we knew that we were onto something, and then everything went really quickly, right? We got all of those investments, we opened up offices, we now have 250 employees, with over 55 million people who have started to use Prezi to make their presentations. We can safely say this is the most innovative thing that has happened to presentations in the last 25 years. Heck, we even got fanboys to join the party. So all I had to do is essentially buy my zero-gravity chair, sit back, and watch my bank account grow back to its normal state. Right? Not really. In fact, if I would have paid attention to what happened to me on that stage in Amsterdam, I could have avoided some really big mistakes along these last 5 years. One of the first things that we noticed was that people found Prezi to be great to make captivating presentations, but they were telling us that it took a long time to make the presentations. And so we did what any cloud-based company would do. We started measuring all the clicks, and then we wanted to find a way to make the amount of time needed to build Prezis shorter, right? That was the strategy behind Quick Prezi. And when we launched Quick Prezi, we were very proud because all the numbers started to behave exactly the same way as we had expected, because people were clicking away, they were making their presentation in short order of time. Yet, after months of using Quick Prezi, people didn't stay. And this was very confusing for us because we had done everything what people asked for, yet it seems like we hadn't given them what they needed. Okay, so we had to throw Quick Prezi out, and we went back to the drawing board, and we started interviewing our users, thousands of them. And we found out very unexpected things. As we were talking to people, we noticed that actually doing presentations take you through the full emotional range of what it means to be alive. On the one hand, if you're successful with your presentations, you can have the best day of your life. On the other hand, if you fail, well, that could be the worst day of your life. In fact, when you ask people to arrange what are the main things they're afraid of, they will say, well, dying is on number 7, surprisingly. You know, getting cancer, being eaten by a shark. Yes, I actually have a friend who's afraid of being eaten by a shark. He's not even near the sea. But on number 1 is presenting. When we had made Quick Prezi easy for users to just jot down a couple of bullet points, then we had made it easy for presenters to have a numbing effect on audiences. Have you been in one of these meetings, where people are pulling up their slides and there's a ton of bullet points that you go, oh my God, not again. That's essentially what we had created with Quick Prezi. And so we had essentially made it really easy for you to die on stage. Okay, so there's a lot at stake when you make presentations, but we still didn't understand what was it about Prezi that could help users to really be successful in their presentations. We went back to our interviews again, so now we're on to like our 3rd, 4th year here, to really try to see what is the pattern for all successful presenters. And we started to see something. I want to share a video with you guys with a user interview that we were doing back then. We should have sound here. So if we can put up the sound.
It's both sophisticated and fun. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Cool. It's like, well, great, I can use my sleep and it works. Yeah. But Prezi's party time. It's like, the music jamming, got a nice beat going down. Okay, let's put the iTunes running in the background. A lot of times I'll do that. Yeah. I got some great music going on and I'm doing my Prezi like, whoa, and it inspires me that way. I would never think of running music in the background because with I have to stay within the blinds. With Prezi in the lines. Yeah.
What we noticed was this pattern of people being inspired, and when they were inspired, them feeling creative, and when they were creative, starting to connect their ideas. And it wasn't until we started to talk to cognitive scientists that we realized why this actually matters. So let me try to show that actually Prezi can help you and your audiences to understand and retain information better. We had no clue when we began with this ourselves, but for a moment, name 5 of kitchen appliances that you have at your home. Just think out to yourself, and then when you're done, just raise your hand. So think about 5 kitchen appliances that you have in your home right now, and then when you're done, raise your hand. Okay. Hello, Shira? Hi, Shira.
Hi.
Shira, can you share with us what are your 5 kitchen appliances?
Stove,
Okay.
refrigerator, dishwasher, mixer, Cuisinart.
Great. So, Shira, let me ask you, what you just did right now essentially is you imagined your kitchen, you looked onto the counter, maybe you saw a couple of things, maybe you looked on the other side of the counter, saw one more thing, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's notice what Shira didn't do. You didn't do this. You didn't build a list of words, right? Neither bullet pointed, alphabetized, right?
No, I imagined it in my head.
How many of you were like Shira when you tried to remember your 5 kitchen appliances? Just raise your hand. Okay, the vast, vast majority of the audience. Now, there's actually a reason for, thank you, by the way. There's a reason for why you did this. For millions of years, our brains have actually evolved to remember ideas in a very certain way. In fact, it's only for the last few hundred years that we've been dealing with text, right? And our brains hate dealing with text. But there are two cues that are very important if you want to understand and retain information. Most people know about the first one, which is put in pictures, right? Please don't do presentations without pictures. Most people know this, but if you didn't know, please do it. What a lot of people don't know is that actually it's not just the pictures that count. Placement is as important as the picture. The fact that this coffee machine is next to the mixer on the counter in the kitchen turns out to be as important for people to remember and understand information as the visual itself. And we had made it very simple for people to show the relationship for coffee makers and kitchens with the help of zooming. We didn't know this when we began, but we realized that this would be an important thing. And so it took us 5 whole years to learn these lessons, and it's only now that I really understand why there was such a long time for us to get to this point. If you think about it, there's actually some tension between the lessons that we learned. Because on the one hand, users were telling us that we'd like to be able to jot down bullet points and be over with doing our presentations, right? On the other hand, people were telling us that presentations are really, really important for me, and if I can be understood and remembered, I'm willing to invest more. There's a seemingly big tension between the short term and the long term for us at Prezi. But maybe it's not just for us. The more I've been thinking about these lessons that I learned, I started to think about other services that may have similar challenges. Take, for example, my use of Facebook. When I used Facebook, I found that last week I had 26 likes. And that's a full and comprehensive measure of all my friendships in the world, right? Not really. The truth is, I don't remember who liked my profile, and what's even worse, I don't remember even what I posted. But there are other aspects of Facebook that are really meaningful to me. Like, for example, I was pinged the other day about my high school friend's birthday. This is Alexandra, and we hadn't talked for many years. And when I got the notice about her birthday, I picked up the phone and I called her, and we started talking about our old memories from the past, like how we would argue every week about whose place we would go to watch the X-Files. Why? Well, if you lost that argument, you had to take your bike home through dark Swedish forests, where I was born and raised, with the imminent threat of being abducted by aliens. So you didn't want to lose that. And we had such a good time talking about these old memories that we now decided that I was going to go to northern Sweden to visit her again. And so thanks to Facebook, I reconnected with Alexandra again. Now, this conflict between, short-term and long-term goals really comes out in any product, in my belief. And if you don't get the balance right, you end up creating an experience that's numbing in nature rather than inspirational. I had another friend recently who said she's leaving Facebook. Why? Because she felt that these likes, while they were fun to get, didn't really have a meaningful impact on her life. She said the likes were actually procrastinating her from doing her work, keeping up with her hobbies. Even worse, when she was sitting down with friends and paying attention to the likes rather than her friends, she realized that this wasn't what Facebook was for. I mean, that's really ironic, right? You're supposed to use Facebook to build your relationships with your friends. So it's really important to get the balance right between the short-term and the long-term goals. And it's not just IT companies like my own or Facebook that struggle with this. In fact, I took a look at 6 brands that I think you guys are very familiar with. And I looked at the last 9 years of their performance on the stock markets. So here's 3 of them: Pepsi, Dunkin' Donuts, and Adidas. You know them well. And look at their competitors. They're consistently outperforming their comparisons, so Nike, Starbucks, and Coca-Cola. I started to think, could we use this model of inspirational user experiences versus the numbing ones to understand what differentiates these companies? Well, you can look at these companies and already in their mission statement see a big difference. Take, for example, a look at Adidas. Adidas talks about being the global leader in sporting goods industry. I would say, sorry Adidas, but numbing. Look at the corresponding mission statement for Nike. How to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. If you've got a body, you're an athlete. And what I found was that all 3 companies outperforming their competitors had the word inspiration already in their mission statement, talking about how to create inspirational customer experiences. And great companies, they manage to translate this into the actual products that they create, right? I don't know how about you, but do you remember the last time you went to a Dunkin' Donuts store? I honestly don't. However, I do have a deep impression of many of my Starbucks visits. And it's accumulation of 1,000 little things that make it such. You know, it's a comfortable chair where I can stay a long time. There's good music. They have thought about what kind of new services could help me connect my e-wallet to buy coffee. There's even stories about the beans. It's not one thing that helps to create an inspirational experience, but if you get it right, it truly has a deep impact on your business. Now, for us in the productivity market, such as Prezi, there's actually never been a better opportunity than today. For the last 20 years, job satisfaction rates have been constantly going down. In fact, if you ask people today, 80% of people employed will say that their jobs are unfulfilling. Now, surely, we who build the tools for these people could help to improve these rates somehow. I think about how ironic it is that we, IT companies that spend so much time on creating inspirational experiences for our own employees, don't always pay attention to the products that we build. I mean, we take on big projects, allow people to fail. We have good food, organic food. We even let people play games in our offices, everything to make it inspirational. But do we pay attention to building inspiration into our product? Well, there's one simple way of doing that. You have to make sure that the long-term goal of the customer is always key, that you understand what's at stake for them, and that every productivity that you do that makes it easier for people to achieve their long-term goal is in the service of making people successful. then they will be inspired, and we can go from treating customers as eyeballs with an ability to click to real people with a need for inspiration. Thank you.